Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. We've got Craig, Nikki B,
Hey.
and the lovely Jess. How you guys going
Hello,
today?
very well.
I am exhausted.
Exhausted?
Yeah, busy week at the AI Summit.
Ah, fantastic, mate. And happy birthday, is that correct, sir?
Thank you. Yep, 40 years young.
4 years young. Fantastic. And Nikki B, what have you been up to, buddy?
I've been talking AI to customers all week.
No
It's
way.
been meeting after meeting after meeting with dinner in the middle, which was quite nice.
Jess, what have you been up to, my dear?
Event planning, running around, sharing the news of Craig on AI and the threats to identity that it brings. So lots of action.
Fantastic. Tell us a little bit about Bangkok. You guys were both over there recently talking about AI. What are the highlights you can share with us?
Other than the food and the
Yeah,
people.
of course,
Yeah.
of course.
So we were at an event there, an unusual event where they had the speakers and the vendors in the same room,
Sure.
giant room. I think there were about 500 people there.
Mhm.
And I had the honor of doing a keynote there. And it was fantastic. I mean, I think most of the speakers, being in Thai, they kind of did a very sort of clean and very boring rendition of their product set. And I just waltzed on there and lit the stage on fire.
The least I expect from you, mate. Turning things on fire.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So it was a great week, amazing. Yeah. And we want to replicate the same thing in other regions, right?
That's correct.
Yes.
So we will be doing our own one in Australia in September. So stay tuned for dates and communications on that.
Fantastic. As long as there's fires, right? But, you know, we've got Nick here. He's an AI specialist. You clearly spoke about AI there. What do you think you could share with him that could surprise him?
Oh, goodness. Surprising. This
Surprise this man, come on.
Come on, it must be something.
I think obviously deepfakes are a thing. What they did demonstrate was taking a sample of your child's voice and being able to animate the child's as a real person using only one photo and basically less than 10 seconds of a sample of their voice. Now here's what they're doing is that they're fooling parents into a panicked call from their child to say, please, I'm in trouble, I need you to send money to this place. And that's actually happening right now out there. So, word to the wise, maybe for anybody who's not aware, is if you have children or a loved one, and this is obviously going to be an explosive concern, have a code word. Where you, if you are in distress, use a code phrase or a code word that you share in advance.
Interesting.
Remember that.
I guess that plays on the psychological element of you as a parent, right? We know whenever our child contacts us, no matter the age, you're going to pick up the phone, you're going to think first with love and emotion before you think with the logical brain. So, yeah, a lot of...
One
that coming
photo
up.
on the internet of
Crazy.
your child, and they can age the child to an adult what they would look like.
Oh, it's giving me cold shivers. That's crazy.
That's
Yeah,
shocking.
pretty scary.
It's
Yeah,
scary.
we're in a different world now.
The negative side of AI.
The negative side, cyber threats, and that's what RSA does, is we try to keep the good AI good and the bad AI out.
What are your thoughts with regards to that, Nikki?
Apart from the fact that I'm going, you did surprise me with that one because I know
Oh,
I know I can get AIs to do my voice and I know you can animate from one photo, but the nefarious use of it.
Exactly.
Obviously, it was coming, but that's really, as a parent, there's no good calls at 2:30.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in cyber threat, with hooking back into AI, it's just a laundry list. I don't think people are really realizing how big of a problem this has become and is going to grow.
Yeah. And how about yourself, mate? What are things that are exciting you this week?
So I've been taking the OpenAI API and using that in automating business processes. Now it's my key thing. Everybody's got really excited about ChatGPT. That's so last week. It is something else I'm going to talk about. It's way more exciting than any of that. But I've been focused on taking that and using that to make business problems get solved. So we're working this afternoon. I'll be with a content production house that builds content for major multinational organisations. They're getting rid of their content people, and they'll be going and delivering that using at least drafts using the OpenAI API. But what really excited me this week, and it was a scientific paper. They've come up with a superconductor that runs at nominal temperature and nominal pressure. And I posted that on our company thing. I said, look, superconductor that runs at 30 degrees C at normal pressure, and nobody knew why that was important.
Why is that exciting?
So that's exciting because that changes how we do power generation. That actually allows us to move totally away from fossil fuels. It makes electric cars possible. It allows single second charge up for your devices. It allows them to run all day or all week on that, if it's real. So that was, I got excited.
I want to hack it now.
Yeah. Apparently 30 hours of lab, some simple chemicals, you can make your own.
Well, supercomputers, they're going to be, if they're more commonplace, as you're describing, can be used to brute force RSA keys.
Well,
So-
this will allow us to properly do superpositioning of quantum computers without having to have 1,000 atmospheres. So that's kind of exciting in the quantum world.
in the quantum world, yes.
It's quite interesting because you guys nerd out a lot, but one of the things you said to me last week was you were speaking to some accountants and they've got all this data and you spent, what was it, less than a couple of hours and you gave them a dashboard that was meaningful. And I want to touch on that. We've been talking about machines, about object store and how machine learning can give you dashboards, but they've never been meaningful unless you knew what you were wanting. Now it's so much easier to get to that information, that valuable information that has some meaning, isn't it?
You're dead right, and it's there for everyone. So the code generator feature, which is in ChatGPT Plus, if you're doing that, will take, you're able to upload data to it. And my favorite prompt is analyze and visualize this data.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes through like a data scientist would. It goes, let me look at the data, let me look at all the columns. Because I'm a large language model, I can work out what those columns are. I can then work out it's this type of data, so you want to see these types of visualizations. So it'll then write the Python code and build the visualizations and deliver the whole lot just out of the gate, really, really easily. So what's interesting though, right, so we've got that, we give it any data and it gives us live visualizations. So those, run-of-the-mill data scientists who are doing those sorts of things need to go and do more exciting things. But then you get to the point where how do you prove that the data you used to do that was actually the real data? There's a huge opportunity there to muck with the data before you ingest it into something like that and get people doing business decisions on crummy data. So the security things around this that no one's really thinking about, I think, are really fascinating.
It's the same old adage with computers, is garbage in and garbage out.
Yeah.
And with AI endowed tools, you're either faster, you're either better, or ideally, you're faster and better. Yeah. And so that's my riff. I mean, my 8-year-old daughter, I had her write an Android Hello World app, right? And
It's crazy, isn't it?
I know. The burden or the barrier to entry used to be here around computing. Show us your other computer.
my little computer.
It used to be here, and now it's down here for every type of endeavor.
This is just funny camera. This is the first computer I ever owned. It's a Casio PB100.
When did you get that? What year?
Oh goodness, I was 9, so that would have been 1981.
1980.
1981. And
Basically when T-Rex was still around, is that what you're telling me?
yeah, something like that.
The Jurassic era.
Actually, this isn't my original one. This, a friend of mine found this online and bought it for me, which is so nice.
Nice.
But this has half a K of RAM, so you're not doing a lot of machine learning on this thing. But the first thing I did, he bought it to me. We were out having drinks, and he bought it for me. And on the ferry on the way home, I managed to write a blood alcohol calculator on it. So it's
Okay,
it's
that's
still
handy.
useful. Right?
You can show it to a police officer and say, look,
Yeah, I'm legit.
he'll think it's advanced technology.
It was interesting. I met a tier 1 partner, I won't say who they are, and we were talking, and one of the things he said is with every one of his security products he's looking for AI to be inbuilt in the product.
Already happening.
Right? It's already
Look
happening.
at Google, look at Microsoft, they're all doing it.
But be careful there. I love those throwaway comments. Somebody goes, I want AI built. It reminds me of that Dilbert cartoon. I don't know if any of you follow Dilbert.
Of course.
So the pointy head boss goes to Dilbert and he says, I think we should get a SQL server. And Dilbert goes, what colour would you like? And the pointy head boss says, I think mauve has the most RAM.
Yeah.
He's just saying it because he read it in a magazine. He doesn't know what he means. How about rather than saying you want AI built it, you say, here's the outcome I want. I want it to immediately find every anomaly in every log file and alert me of that. Okay, AI might be your solution to that, but don't just say I want AI in it.
for the sake of
It's
it.
just not going to help.
But I think that's an element of education around AI today and
Yeah.
what it can do for you and existing, emerging, and potential threats out there. People do not quite understand the landscape. It's all sexy, it's all interesting. You can ask it questions. Your child can, develop an application with it. But at the business level, there is a sense of what do you actually want to do with that information? What do you want it to produce? How do you want it to help you gain those insights?
I think education would
data.
help you
Yeah.
be able to come up with the possibilities
Yes.
of the questions that you want to ask
Yes.
and what you want to get at.
Yeah.
So one of the things at the summit this week, there was a global study that was done, 21,000 respondents globally, and they kind of from various countries throughout the world, and they ranked all of these countries in terms of the respondents' trust in AI. So the question was, do you trust AI for X and Y? And you know where Australia was? Near the bottom. We in this country it's quite binary from a, I guess, Australian cultural perspective. We either quickly trust someone or we quickly do not. It's quite binary. And risk averse is very real here. And so ranking near the bottom, and the leaders were China, India, and Singapore. Those were the ones that trusted the machine the most. But Australia is near the bottom in terms of trust, and I think that's an education issue as well.
I've got a whole theory on this, but I won't expand on the whole theory. I think we actually, as a society in Australia, I think we actually applaud people who are technophobes. We actually reward people who don't understand and don't learn about technology, and that appears throughout government and throughout our senior leaders in business. I think we denigrate people who have technology skills or experience or know those sorts of things, and celebrate people who don't. So we look for prime ministers who can't use a mobile phone and aren't on social and those sorts of things. Not like Barack Obama, who actually knew how to use that kind of tech, and that gets celebrated. So when I go to the States, when I talk to senior business leaders, I see a lot more understanding and knowledge about technology
Literacy.
than if I talk to the C-suite here. And I think that's the cultural thing, and that would do that trust thing, because it looks like magic to them.
Yeah, you can have all the education in the world. You need the willingness to be educated.
And I think the other thing that plays into that is worldwide and in Australia, skills shortage. In terms of, just today, from an ICT perspective, there's the skills market is not there for what we need, and then you couple AI in on top of that, and you need, a whole nother level.
See, I believe that AI endowment, in terms of what we're seeing already, taking the barrier to entry down here, can address the skills challenge in ICT.
Yes.
My 8-year-old wrote an Android app. So take somewhat of a good practitioner and put them through ICT into security. We've just addressed that gap through this co-pilot mode inside of AI.
And the interesting part about that is everyone's scared that AI is going to take their jobs.
Yeah.
But then
Well, that
you thought
feeds
about
back into the study, right?
elevating the jobs that are possible,
And
as opposed to the mundane jobs.
I'd like you to think about it the other way. AI will take your job if you don't use it, because your peers will all 10x their capability, and you'll be down here going, well, I don't use that stuff. And it won't help you. I noticed it in the development team I run. All of those guys, the minute ChatGPT Plus was available and Copilot, we just gave them the tools. And they're now operating, and some of them 10 times the performance they were doing before.
So you've seen a legit productivity gain.
Yeah. From the very beginning.
And what I've heard is that productivity gains are quite anecdotal. And there's no kind of measure, black and white measure around how you would get productivity gains. Because if you're trying to sell AI into your organization to use it in some capacity, you need to prove it. How do you prove it? It's a good question. I don't know.
The interesting part, you do a fair amount of development. Has it changed your development cycle using AI, or you still use the same stuff, or you just get straight into dev straight away and let the machine do it?
We don't let the machine do it per se. So some things we studied, because we were a little nervous at first. Not nervous that it wouldn't write code, it writes great code. But nervous that it's not going to write secure code, or we need to review it for all sorts of things, or it's someone else's. So we started just getting it to do code comments. Which my team are really bad at, as every dev is in the world, and it's really good at that.
Every developer is bad at comments.
And then we got it to write our unit test suite, and it was really good at that. And now, even I had a meeting with my team yesterday, and somebody said, I can't work out why this thing isn't working. Copy paste ChatGPT. What's up with this C#? Well, you've made this mistake, and it gave us the answer. Now. It was quite a complex bit of code. It would have taken even a good practitioner 5 or so minutes to really work out what was going on. It was a time-date function. They're always evil. And ChatGPT worked it out, got it right in seconds.
Well, that's quite interesting, because that's a nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
But Craig, you said to me that you don't use search engines, you use tools that give you facts back. What was that about the other day?
Yeah, I'll actually plug the app that I use. It's called Perplexity. It's both for Android, iOS, and web.
Yep.
And it has a voice function, so you can talk to it. It interfaces to ChatGPT for you, but it also references all of its sources.
Right.
So it's good for facts-based stuff that need references, because you can't just make up facts.
I love it. I love it. He shared that app with me
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago, and I started playing around with it, and it was genius. Today in ABC, maybe it's yesterday's article, universities have come out saying they're not going to try and defeat AI from essay writing perspective. They're going to work on alternative models for testing and assessment. And I think that's good anyway, because even though I'm a writer and I talk a lot of talk, essays are still tough at the end of the day for anyone, especially when you've got to do a big one. So I think that's good regardless. However, the interesting fact about that is I looked at that tool at the same time I was looking at something from a university perspective, and I was like, that's just another example of a tool that can unleash the power of AI to very quickly build for you, a portfolio in reference to something. And I love that tool. It's really genius.
Everybody should use Perplexity. When you search something in a traditional search engine, you generally go to a web page to get the results, and basically you're inundated with ads and pop-ups and just modern webs. And I'll use a swear word, but it's from Cory Doctorow that wrote a brilliant blog post a year ago called "The Shitification of the Internet," where everything is starting to go bad because of this sort of enclosed space that they operate in. There's not a lot of outside influences, right? They put up the castle walls and they do their thing without really a lot of user input and feedback. And so Twitter is a great example.
Oh, you mean X?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, X,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
right.
X.
Thank you, X,
Yeah.
everybody.
So big tech is heading down a road that is towards a poorer product. Perplexity shields you from all of that. ChatGPT shields you from all of that. And I think getting right to the answer in terms of facts-based research and so on, absolutely
I'm going to get
saves my sanity.
I'm going to get controversial. Are we trusting the machine to give us facts at this point?
Well, if it has its references,
Yep.
You check the references.
check the references.
Yeah, I
That's
think
why
the
it's
best way.
much better. ChatGPT, as you know, will happily hallucinate and authoritatively give you responses based on stuff that it just makes up.
I always describe it like me at a trivia event, right? Every question, I'm totally confident I've got the answer.
Correct. Yeah,
And
that's right.
everybody's favourite one, somebody said, how many wheels are there on an Airbus A380?
Yeah.
And I go,
18.
150. That's 150. Don't make that up. But okay.
There was a lecturer at the...
Odd numbers, I like it.
There's a lecturer from the University of Sydney who was up on stage this week who said, yes, ChatGPT likes to hallucinate and make up facts. He is terrible for this. Oh, by the way, I used the word he on purpose. Of course it's a man making up things that it has no idea about.
Too far, that's too far.
I've got a nickname for ChatGPT because customers go, well, you wrote that proposal really quickly. Yes, Florence helped me.
Yeah.
Florence is my name for ChatGPT because I don't tell them it was ChatGPT, but there you go.
Last question, guys. Before the next episode of Cyber Underground, use your AI. What do you think are going to be the next topics that we're going to talk about at our next meeting?
Well, I'd like to continue on cyber threats because there's a laundry list to cover. And then, of course, I mean, when you blink, you lose a month. If 1 month is 1 year in the world of AI.
Yeah.
There are 7,000 startups out there right now. So something else is going to happen that's going to blow our minds.
Jess, 30 days. What do you think is going to come?
I would definitely like to see more on the threats that AI is bringing to market. And, I hate to sound like a fangirl to Craig, but I'm 100% on board with that.
Nikki B?
Pollution. And not just the fact that there's some scary numbers coming out of Europe at the moment. Pollution of our models. So if you look at GPT-3 and GPT-4, they were both built on the corpus of human knowledge. But since GitHub Copilot came out, 43% of code added to GitHub was created by an AI. So now when we train our AIs, a lot of what we're training them on is AI generated content. How does that pollute the model, and are they just going to get worse from here? Have we done peak large language model because we can no longer train them on human generated content, and we're going to start training them on their own stuff? That's something I reckon we'll start talking about soon.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I'm keeping it simple. I'm going to use this particular recording and put in Premiere and see how we can actually cut down my editing.
With AI, I love it.
With AI, because it can take out words, and there's some other tools I'm trying to get as well, where they actually insert stock footage while you talk, and they'll pick it up and add it into the video.
I like anything that makes
crazy,
editing
right?
It
quicker.
makes it easier.
It
It's
is
good.
a fun time to be alive, and we're living in a different world now.
Yeah, absolutely. Team, thank you so much for being on. Great episode. We'll catch you soon.
Cheers.
Thank you.